Hey, welcome back, 8th grade. So in the last video we talked about how I was going to show you a trick to when you have a whole bunch of fractions or decimals in your problems so that you don't have to use like denominators, etc. in order to solve. So here's this first one. The reason we put it in with this video is because we're going to be using the distributive property, which makes it a multi-step equation. Right now I'm looking at 3/4 x minus x over 3, which logic tells us combine like terms and then solve for x. But I don't like the fractions. I know you don't like the fractions. So step 1, multiply by the LCD, least common denominator. So when I'm looking at 4 and 3, least common denominator for 4 and 3, or the number that they both multiplied to, smallest number they both multiplied to, is 12. So in our case, our LCD is 12. So we're going to multiply both sides by 12. Now, this first step is technically multiplication property of equality with some distributive property, because I'm going to multiply both sides equally, but then I'm going to distribute this 12 through this first set of parentheses. So we're going to take 12 over 1, right, because I got to take it to a fraction, times 3 over 4. And then I know that 4 goes into 12, so I'm going to, 4 divided by 4 is 1, 12 divided by 4 is 3. So now we have 3 times 3, which is 9. So now I have 9x instead of 3/4 x. So much easier to work with, right? So now I'm going to do the same thing. Now I have 12 over 1 times, now I left the x out over here. The x would have been there. It comes here. So we can leave this as x over 3 or make it just a 1/3. However, it's easier for you to understand. 3 divides into 12, leaving me with 1, and 12 divided by 3 is 4. 4 times 1x is 4x. So now we have 9x minus 4x equals, and then 10 times 12 is 120. Bless me. All right. Keep moving. Our next step is we do have like terms here, so I'm going to combine them. When we combine same side like terms, we do not change any signs. We just do it as it is. So this is 9x minus 4x, which makes this, oops, I have the wrong number stuck in my head, which makes this 5x equals 120. So that was a combining of like terms. And then after that, we're going to divide both sides equally by 5. So we're going to use a little depot here, division property of equality. And 120 divided by 5 is 24. If I can find my pin again, there it is. And again, if you're unsure, you can plug this back in to the original problem and make sure it works. It's as simple as that. But now you don't have to work with fractions. Your answer may still end up being a fraction in the end. Could, not always, but sometimes. But this gets your fractions away, and you don't have to go getting like terms, etc. All right, but what about decimals? I know some of you are perfectly fine with decimals, and you are more than welcome to continue working with decimals as decimals. But you can also count how many places you have and multiply by both sides by a 1 with that many zeros, right? So if it's only 1 decimal place, then we would multiply everything by 10. But since our biggest decimal have 2 decimal places, we're going to multiply everything by 100. So again, we're doing that multiplication property of equality / distributive property. And so now I'm going to distribute that 100, which really only changes my decimal. So now I have 350 minus this decimal 2 places, 2x equals this decimal 2 places, 124. So by moving our decimal all the same number of places, we've now made them whole numbers, of which I'm going to, now this is where, see, this is where we have to be careful. Yes, this is a subtraction between the 350 and the 2x, but that negative 2 is going to stay, okay? I'm not going to do anything with that quite yet. Nope, wrong one. There we go. What I'm going to do is, this is a positive 350, so I'm going to subtract so that I get 0. Subtract 350 from both sides. Make sure that negative comes down with that 2. And then 124 minus 350 is a negative 226. So that was a subtraction property of equality that got us to there. From here, and again, it is very important, that negative had to stay with this 2. If we would have added 350 to both sides, we actually end up with, 700 over here, not 0. So please, please be very careful with that. We're going to divide both sides by a negative 2, so we're going to use a little depot here. And so x will equal, negative divided by negative is a positive, 226 divided by 2 is 113. And that is our final answer. Notice there are no decimals. We would have ended up with 113 as our answer in the end anyway. This gets rid of the decimals. You're working with all whole numbers. It just makes it that much easier. So that is my suggestion. We do have one last video over the word problem. So word problems you may encounter while doing this lesson. So I will see you there.